Oh well. Hi, hello, and welcome. So I listened to maybe the last live. I did adjust the microphone, so I turned it back up. Why did I turn it down? I honestly don't know. I'm like, man, the through my storage and try to find like my microphone and stuff. It's been a little rough. So anyway, I have been thinking about. I was actually going to use the other Bloomberg booster pack that I have. I have it for the other channel, but I was gonna use it on this one. Um, I was in the store. I happened to be by the Magic the Gathering cards, and now they have Duskmorn, House of Horror. So I literally only have this one, and we're just gonna open it, go through it. We're gonna do that thing that I do, which is try to find the message in the madness. And yeah, as fight to survive in a house of nightmares. When you're trapped in the endless halls of Duskmorn, the only way out is through. Band together with plucky survivors to unlock rooms. Arm yourself with spirit smashing tech and battle your way to the heart of the house. Will you finally reach the exit or will you harness the darkness for yourself? Ooh. And I'm like looking at this thing. I was like, okay, that must be that spirit smashing tech. I'm like, what is this? I did have a dream last night. It was so interesting. I don't know if this will be related in any way. Probably not. Maybe, maybe not. I had a dream last night that I was in grad school and I forget what was happening. I didn't like, I had the thought that was like, remember when I was worried about whether or not I would get into grad school? And like, look at where I am now. And it was one of those like moments to be appreciative. We actually saw one of these. It was a Bloomberg pack somewhere, and the thing had been torn in the store. I was like, somebody just left it. But that's what put this on my radar again. But I forgot when we were at the first store. So when we went to the second store, I just so happened to be right by it. It's like, oh, because I went exploring a little bit. This is so interesting. The artwork. I feel like there's such an interesting tale that's being told. Um, but yeah, in the dream, I was like, when I was like worried about whether or not I'd get into grad school, and here I am. And it's funny because that's the path that I'm wanting to take, but I'm not there yet. But in the dream, I was like already there. And it was like, remember when I was worried about this? I was like, okay, like, tell me don't worry. And it was just interesting. And I feel like I was almost like, how did I get here in the dream? Because again, I'm not there yet. I don't know. It was weird. Okay, let's get into this boot pack. Let's see what's up and the message in the madness. So on the back of this card, sometimes it's a token. Here, it's an arena. Unlock another way to play. So no token this time, which is interesting. Gotta- Oh, journey. All right, so the cards are face down. First card out is Fanatic of the Harrowing. It's a shiny human cleric. When Fanatic of the Harrowing enters, each player discards a card. If a card this way, draw a card. The flavor text says Valgavoth wants our pain, our terror. We cannot join him unless we suffer. don't know who Valgavoth is. Someone that wants your pain. We cannot join him unless we suffer. Low hanging fruit. This is that Valgavoth would be that like bumblebee, a benevolent guide. But maybe not. Each player discards a card. You draw a card. So the suffering that you buy into is discarding the card every other player when this cleric enters the battlefield. But for buying in, you get to draw another card. Now, there's there's an element of a gamble or a risk because although from one perspective you could say that the suffering is mitigated because you don't know what card you're going to draw. The card that you draw could be worse or more useless or not fit whatever your current strategy is, as well as the one that you're discarding. And there's no guarantee that you'll again it's like there's no guarantee a better card by buying into whatever Valgavoth is. Next card is abandoned campground, which is what is this? It's a land. It's either I call it light, but it's like basic, non-aspected, light and water. Abandoned campground enters trapped unless it has 13 or less life. They say every inhabitant vanished in a single night, leaving their belongings untouched but curiously covered in moss. She's given like Roanoke energy. Um, just saw something. There's a people in the Appalachian Mountains, like a mysterious people, and someone was, or I think I can't remember if I read it or if it was one of those like shorts or whatever. Feel like I was reading for some reason. And it was like some people theorize that they may be descendants of the people who were lost at like Roanoke. That's why I saw Roanoke recently. Let's see, what's the next card? That abandoned campground. Of course, it's that creepy. Overlord of the Belmer. It's a avatar of horror, enchantment creature, impending five. If you cast a spell for its impending cost, it enters with five time counters and isn't a creature until the last is removed. At the beginning of your next step, remove a time counter. Whenever Overlord of Belmerk enters or attacks, mill four cards, and then you may return a non-avatar creature card or a planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. We got avatars in this deck. My only context, not my only context, my most immediate context to avatars was in this one anime that I don't even know if I finished, honestly. But it's one of those, I think, isekais, meaning like it's someone who gets sent to another world, typically through reincarnation. Um, I think that was the case. Anyway, there are gods in that world, like a god of like light and a god of darkness, a god of the earth, you know. And the gods have avatars. which are basically bodies that they incarnate into, right? As you would uh, imagine an avatar would be. But the thing about the avatars in this show in particular is that like the avatars had their own personalities. And so towards the beginning ish of the show, one of the avatars one of the avatars comes to claim some of the characters. And it's like it's basically their time. But they don't want to go and the main character doesn't want to let him go, so he ends up fighting and outsmarting the avatar. And then there's like some time in between when a god can like create a new avatar. Emma, hi, hello, how you doing? There's my G buddy. I see the name change went through. But in this show, there's like there's some time that has to take place while they recover their strength to make a new avatar. And but they had like heralds, which is interesting because it was like when we saw the temple and the animal at the as the final cards and the known archetypes, it had that kind of energy too. But so one of the a herald guy came through and was like, I'm sorry for how my avatar behaved. It was still young and immature. So it was like, again, like that's one of the only times I've seen it where I mean, I feel like the class of stuff that I know very little about. um, but as far as like media, that's the only time I've seen it where like the avatar is sort of like different than the. But there are 5 turns before it becomes a creature. So it's almost like the avatar is in a space of observation. It's like born into the world and observing it before it awakens and does whatever. And then this abandoned camp. Okay. Let's see. Next is the optimistic scavenger, which is a human scout. Eerie, whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. A void rod, perfect. Now I'll be able to get the glitch reader working again. Oh, this is interesting. So I'm assuming the glitch reader is one of those spirit busting technologies. And this void rod, it feels like it's a rod connected to the void. So this is almost like how the glass and Contra Naturam came out in the Water Known Alchemy. And it was like it's this ability, there's something about like a specific thing that's different than its environment. Maybe it's a different color, it sparkles, glimmers, glows, shines. There was a show that there were two parallel universes, two parallel realities that were like starting to overlap more and more, which was causing both of them to destabilize. And if like things could cross over, and so they had this technology where anything that was of the other universe would like sparkle, and you find out that one of the characters is from the different universe, and like it's this whole shock because nobody knew. But this void ride, with it being connected to the void and it powering something called a glitch reader, it's like taking advantage of those like soft spots in reality. And so maybe if there is something like a dead end in a labyrinth, or if there's something just labyrinthine. If there's a labyrinth that someone is in, then like you can use the glitch reader, and it feels like the glitch would be like a wall that you can walk through, or a door typically doesn't open that you'll find open. I'm still trying to work out how and what this abandoned campground fits in everything. I feel like I could say it feels like there was a thread here between the glitch reader and the abandoned campground, where the abandoned campground is almost like this space in between spaces. Next is the skull snap nuisance. It's also eerie. It's an insect skeleton creature. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, surveil one. So when you surveil, you can look at the top part of your library. You may put it into your graveyard if you don't like it. And it's flying. I'm like trying to see what this is. So with this, if the skull snap nuisance is on the field and you fully unlock a room, or the if you trigger the surveil one, you can look at the card at the top of the deck before you play or activate the effect of the fanatic of the harrowing, and you would know what card you're going to draw before you sacrifice one, surrender one. Next is nowhere to run. This is an enchantment. Flash. When nowhere to run, creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Creature your opponent's control can be the targets of spells and abilities as though they didn't have sprue. Ward abilities of those creatures don't trigger. So there's nowhere to run. This flash of light, it can affect creatures even if they're like hexproof, and it doesn't trigger their wards. And I guess that's the again, there's such an interesting integration of technology here. Oh well, maybe not. Like maybe giving Ghostbusters energy or like Ghost Hunters type energy, you know? Yeah, there's nothing left. I'm just sipping on the ice water. Interesting. Let's see if we get something here. Norin, swift survivalist, which is a human coward, a legendary human coward. I didn't know cow was a type of creature, but it says cow. It's a human coward. Norin, swift survivalist can't block. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may exile it. You may play that card from exile this turn. The flavor text here is I don't know what it was. Why would I stick around to find out? Is this hashtag me? I was like, I don't know what that. I'm not gonna stick around and find out, huh? I feel like for some reason it doesn't feel like an evil spirit something that is after Norin, the swift survivalist. It feels like it would be I want to say a benevolent guide, but I feel like even benevolent guide is like tainted now because of the alchemy. like a helpful spirit. It feels like it would be a helpful spirit. This honestly reminds me of there was an episode of with the labyrinth, and then there's this other show that I'm watching on Netflix. I don't know if it's still airing or not. It had 3 episodes, but there are characters who are stuck in a labyrinth. And the labyrinth, most characters are trapped in the labyrinth, but there will be one character where like an exit sign, exit door continues to appear. Like the labyrinth is trying to spit that one person out because the presence of that person can like stabilize the labyrinth for whatever reason. Like whatever the labyrinth is designed to prey upon, or whatever type of person, whoever the labyrinth is designed to trap, there's a character that isn't suitable. And so the labyrinth will continuously try to spit them. And it feels like that's the sort of like helpful spirit that is trying to get Norin outside of the labyrinth. But as soon as they appear, Norin takes off running. Is like, I'm not going to stick around to find out what that is. And so like Norin continues to run around the labyrinth, although it's like trying to like spit him out. Like the exit from the House of Horror keeps appearing before Norin, but Norin runs in the opposite direction. Which is interesting because this is immediately after Nowhere to Run. Is that Norin or no? I don't know if it'll focus. Is that Norin or no? It looks like it could be. Like it's continuously trying to spit him out. Next is, ooh, we got a full art, Unholy Heat, which is an instant. Holy Heat deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Delirium, Unholy Heat deals 6 damage instead if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. He turns every room into a crematorium. Oof. Let's see, how many creature types do we have so far? Human cleric, we have this avatar horror. So if it's been 5 turns, one, two, three, four, and this is the fifth card, then the avatar horror will be a creature. We have a human scout, an insect skeleton, and a human count. Now that's 4, but of the 4, 3 are humans. So it punishes you for diversity. Deal 6 damage instead if there are 4 or more card types. Oh, card types. Not so we have creatures, enchantments, and enchantment creatures. So no, card types, not creature types. Unholy Heat. Unholy Heat could be what this is making me think of. It's how our universe recognizes light and heat. Darkness is the absence of light. Cold is the a lack of heat. So unholy heat, it's almost like in the world that recognizes cold, or in a world that would see heat as a lack of cold. This is that heat. So it's hot in a lot of the same ways that we experience heat, but it's different. It's like a heat that is corrosive rather than a heat that is like warm. I don't know. That like breaks my brain. Next is seized from slumber. Another instant. This one is lame. This spell costs 3 less mana to cast if it targets a tapped creature, destroying target creature. Tyson tried to scream for help, but his lungs simply unraveled. What is that? Like they're literally see, maybe this is like it's tied to this unholy heat. That unholy heat goes back to those two parallel dimensions where they sort of like, because they're collapsing upon each other, they're like both destabilizing. And it feels like that's the unraveling, especially after the unholy heat. There's something that is very similar, but from a parallel dimension that causes things to destabilize. And maybe because there was the character that was actually from the other dimension. Now in the show, it's known because he's missing. In the other dimension, he's missing. So they know where he is, which is in this dimension, but he doesn't. He himself doesn't know. So then this, like the helpful spirit coming to get Norin, the swift survivalist, that's like characters or spirits from the side that he truly belongs to that's trying to come and like put him back in his proper place as this second universe, the main one, the one that at least we're learning from, begins to unravel. And it could be his presence there that's causing everything to unravel. Now it's bringing another show to mind where there's something that is unleashed into the world that shouldn't be. It is an unnatural occurrence and there's like an antithesis that is born because this thing exists. And it swallows universes. It destroys worlds. Every single timeline falls into one chaotic ending or another because it's something that should not be. And so at the end, it's like in order to stabilize the timeline, you kind of got to let it go. You have to let the thing resolve. How does that apply to really anything? I don't. I mean, that could be like there is something of you or something that you carry from the past. Again, going back to the creator, the shadow, and the dead end, the things that we continue to create and recreate, or that which we carry with us every time we move. As long as we continue to carry that thing, what we're manifesting, desiring, praying for, that doesn't that can't co survive with that thing. As long as we continue to manifest something, we will continue to manifest the thing to like remove that from us or to whatever, because it can't move forward with us. And so this almost supernatural force that continues to chase us or birth itself into our reality until we let go whatever it is that we need to let go. Right. Like if we're making, for example, a healthy relationship, but there are ways that we have changed because of traumatic experiences of the past. It's almost like we'll never have something truly healthy as long as we continue to carry this thing. But the thing we've been carrying has kept us safe up until now. But again, it's not conducive to producing or being in a healthy relationship. So at some point, we have to let it go. Or maybe at the very least, stop manifesting. See, but I feel like the solution isn't to stop manifesting like a healthy relationship in that. But it's just like as long as we continue to carry that, something will continue to try to like unravel it or to like take it back to the past in which it belongs. Now, this could be something within self, or it could be like like a hijacking spirit or something like that. Something that like tries to catch a ride into the next paradigm or epoch or whatever. And it's like your time is up. Like we're not doing that anymore. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be that, but it could be. And so maybe this abandoned campground is this version of like this old version of reality, almost like a ghost town. And eventually, like more and more and more people move away. And it seems like they left in a flash because maybe they realize that like what remains in the abandoned campground is all of the things that people couldn't take with them when they get to where they're going. All of the things that needed to be left behind. So it almost creates a museum, I guess. Maybe there is some time in the future where the world knows peace, and there are all of these relics of the past of a time when we were at each other's throats or when we were struggling to get along. And it's like you take like a field trip to see all of these like weapons and other stuff from a world that was at war, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. So in that, Valgava, this whole setup takes an interesting turn because it's almost like this haunted house or manor. What did it say? Yeah, this house of nightmares is transitionary sort of period, or it's a transitionary sort of junction, almost like limbo. The show's been out for a while, but I just saw the fourth and final season like last year, finally. Um, but there's a show, uh, and towards the conclusion of the show, the afterlife. It's like there are two stages of the afterlife. There's one that helps people resolve anything from life and to basically process all of their stuff before they move on. And then there's a place that they move on to. And then I guess there's a third place, which is like after you've lived your moved on life. And if ever you are ready to whatever, then that option is made available to you. But like this haunted house, this house of nightmares, this transitionary whatever, again, it's so that we can resolve anything that we need to resolve that prevents us from moving on. Wow, what? Oh, it's a room. Okay. I was like, there's two cards in one. What? This is so weird. So this is a room. On one side, it's the moldering gym. On the other side, it's a weight room. So you may cast either half. That was weird. You may cast either half. That door unlocks on the battlefield. As a sorcery, you may pay this mana cost. You may pay the mana cost of a locked door to unlock it. So when you unlock the Moldering Gem, you get to search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. If you unlock the Weight Room, you manifest Dread, then put 3+1/+1 counters on that creature. I was like, what is this? Too, man. Now, when a room is, what does it say, completed or something like that? When a room is unlocked, we have two cards. So the optimistic Avenger, +1 counter on the target creature, and the Skull Snap Nuisance gets to look at the top card of the library and then discard it if it's not desired. Interesting. Next, there's another room, another pair of rooms. So if we unlock the derelict attic, yeah, you get to draw two cards at the cost of two life. If you unlock the widow's walk, whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gets +1/+0 and gains death touch until the end of turn. The touch of death will instantly kill anything, regardless of how tough it is. So it's almost like, what's the point of adding one toughness if it has death touch anyway? Because the thing is going to die, you know? Draw two cards at the cost of two. You may cast either half. That door unlocks on the battlefield as a sorcery. You may pay the mana cost of a locked door to unlock it. So you get one of these and not two. Next, we have the Impossible Inferno. Impossible Inferno deals 6 damage to target creature. It also has Delirium. I was like, because that's what Unholy Heat can deal with Delirium. Unholy Heat deals 6 damage instead if there are four or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Here, if there are four or more card types among cards in your graveyard with the Impossible Inferno, you can exile the top card of your library and play it until the end of your next turn. No living being, survivor, or monster is exempt from Valgavoth's wrath. Well, there's Valgavoth again. Now with this Impossible Inferno. Again, we first saw Valgavoth with this human cleric. Valgavoth is, this is so interesting because it doesn't feel like it's the type of creature, spirit, old god, chthonic. Is it chthonic? No, no, not chthonic. Well, it could be chthonic. Like Cthulhu, eldritch horror. Like you wouldn't expect that the human priest is like working with Valgavoth, but you know, lo and behold, in real life they are. No living being, survivor or monster, is exempt from Valgavoth's wrath. Maybe that's why there are those who pay. The human cleric pays the sacrifice cost because it can't see of another way. Fear of Valgavoth has outcompeted the cleric's faith. This is giving me, it's like there's a tunnel or a bridgeway between worlds. I've seen it a few ways. It was a mirror bridge in The Magicians. It's something in Bleach, in The Wheel of Time, I think. there are these like passageways, like whatever with these monsters in it. Also in the Ancient Magus' Bride, there are these like spirit tunnels. In uh the David trilogy, there are these waterways. It's like these pathways that connect different locations within the world or different worlds. And it's like this one, as someone is like transiting, it's like catching on fire and collapsing. But again, it's like it feels like this whole house of nightmares is that tunnel that transits from one dimension, one world to the other. Friendly Ghost. The Friendly Ghost is almost under uh this guy. Norin? Was that his name? Whenever Friendly Ghost enters, target creature gets +2/+4 until end of turn. In life, Marcus had been a devoted guide of rivals. Death simply made it easier to get around. So Marcus does in death what he did in life, which is to be a guide for those who transit. Big psychopomp energy. In life, Marcus had been a devoted guide of new arrivals. Death simply made it easier to get around. And then Norrin, who's maybe sometimes too quick for his own good. Last card is Enter the Enigma. Ooh. See, the Friendly Ghost being the guide to this enigma, it feels like it plays on this the glitch reader. When you get the void rod to power the glitch reader so you can see the spaces in between spaces. Enter the Enigma. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. It's a sorcery, and you get to draw one card. Though she was used to stepping into the unknown, something about this strange doorway made the wanderer shiver as she crossed the threshold. So, this is someone who is used to stepping into the unknown. This is someone who navigates the unknown. And even to the one that navigates the unknown, this particular gateway, is an enigma. And it has that same blue as this blue that Norin, the Swift Survivalist, is running away from. This that's under Norin. Maybe Norin sees someone walk out of a wall and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a ghost. And then it's just like whoever this girl is emerging from the enigma. This is interesting. It honestly feels like because some of these doorways have such drawbacks, and again, it almost plays on the sacrifice to Valgavoth. Valgavoth wants our pain, our terror. We cannot join him unless we suffer. But there is a way to escape this house of nightmares without paying Valgavoth's cost and without paying to unlock these doors that honestly come with sometimes as much of a drawback as they offer progression. And it's this void rod, it's these friendly spirits, it's Enter the Enigma. It honestly feels like part of this goes through some of these glitches open up to the abandoned campground. If you have a, because there are all these like doors or windows or whatever in the abandoned campground. If you have a guide, then the guide will tell you like exactly which one to go through to get where you're going. If not, then abandoned campground. Like there's such a huge feeling of Like the abandoned campground used to be this space in between spaces that housed a lot of things that would pop in and out, almost like a way station within this space in between. But even the denizens of the in between are starting to leave. And maybe it's because, again, this impossible inferno, or yeah, because of the impossible inferno, the transitory space itself is collapsing. Like this house of nightmares is about to cease to exist. So that's why it's like one side or the other. Pick a side, get where you're going, because this is it's gonna come down. This avatar, overlord of the Belmont, this avatar horror could be was it Cabin in the Woods? I didn't read watch the movie. I read the plot on Wikipedia. Speaking of like eldritch horrors, um, it's almost like there's a certain amount of pain and suffering again that's needed to appease Valgava because so many are like exiting this space. It's like the amount that Valgavoth needs. It's almost like a sacrifice. Valgavoth asleep, but it's like in 5 turns, Valgavoth is going to wake up, and anything that is within this space is going to be what it is. It doesn't matter, survivor, monster, no living being is exempt from Valgavoth's right. Which metaphorically kind of sort of sucks for the human cleric because I don't know if the human cleric and its devotion to Valgavoth can escape this place. So all of the pain and suffering that it's been causing to appease Valgavoth and to keep Valgavoth asleep, it's almost like they're gonna be the only ones left. Now, some people would call it karma. I don't know, but it's kind of GTFO. Cool. And it's almost like there are portions of the haunted house, portions of the house of nightmares that are unraveling. Or it's like as those, it's almost like this giant building or a giant manor or estate. It almost, in the Disney Lorcana, there was that it's like people were safe in one house and that location offered protection. I think it was like Macduff Manor or something like that. People were being enticed to go to this other place because it was nicer, but it afforded no protections. But it's like entire wings or hallways or portions of this building are collapsed. And as they collapse, there's this like unraveling. I don't know. But there are plenty, again, it's like there are glitched walls, glitched doors. There are these enigma portals. There are friendly guides who are there to assist and help. But sometimes we have to be still enough, grounded enough, and discerning enough because you want to make sure it's like one of these friendly guides, even if it's a ghost, and not one of these little human clerics that are trying to harvest your pain and suffering to keep Valgavoth asleep for as long as they can so that they don't get terrorized. Because again, they know that there's no escape for them. Anyway. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they're trying to like buy as much time for them to find some kind of glitch to get through. I don't know. It's also interesting that we have unholy heat towards this end, and then on the other end, again, we have the friendly ghost and enter the enigma. I think that's another thing too. Maybe with the enigma, it's an opportunity to. It's almost like early transit. It's an opportunity for an early transit, and maybe there was something for us to work through or discover while we're in this house of nightmares. And so, if we take the early transit, it's almost like maybe a Cliff Notes version of some things, or maybe it's this period of time. It's like because the transition is already in between these two spaces. And so to take the enigma within the transition is like this super word, super exaggerated, almost very like caric- caricaturesque space, almost very multiverse of man when they're going from like one universe to the other. But it's almost like to catch you up real quick before it like pops you out wherever. And again, like if you're used to stepping into the unknown, this is different because like the entire transitionary space is like crumbling. The bridge is crumbling. I don't know, like because again, it was like it's the presence of Norin in this alternate universe. Where Norin may not even know that like, girl, like you don't belong here. It's Norin's presence here. It's like Norin is one of the final things that like it when it goes back to where it came from in order for both universes to heal and to not continue to destabilize, this bridge, this transitionary space has to be broken. And it makes me think of, for some reason, in the Judgment card in the SKT Revelations edition, how when you put Malkut where it belongs at the bottom of the Kabbalah tree of life, there's this light that emits, and it's like there's something that clicks into place. That clicking would like and that's the trigger of these universes, of these worlds healing, of the destabilization stopping so it can restabilize. But again, that in between transitionary space, it's everything is in its rightful place type energy. So I don't know. That's what the cards say. But maybe not. I don't. The only thing I could suggest to anybody is your own intuition and discernment. Um, I don't have anything beyond that, unfortunately. But your intuition will lead you if there's somewhere. Your guides. But yeah, I don't personally have a source that I could suggest for further research. But hey, I hope you're well. I feel like that's everything. A little eerie, maybe, but know, no token, just the arena. Maybe that's it. Like we're in the gauntlet. Not human coward. No problem. I was like, I've never seen a coward before. I didn't know that was something someone could be. All right. I want to close my eyes because if the one card comes out, I mean, there's only like 14, 15 cards to get a final card from. So, in three, two, one, cut. Yup. It's basically the title card. Rated T for teen, blood and gore of mild fantasy violence. In-game purchases includes random items. Unlock another way to play. Bottom of the deck is nowhere to run. What I the image of this is giving me this like maybe there's a guided tour. So this is giving me like a Walkman, CD player, Uh I can't even say what's the thing. It's not I don't know why I'm wiggling my hands as if I don't remember. There's the Walkman or the portable CD player. The I I it's not the iPod. There, that's what it is. The iPod. Uh, I feel like we don't even have iPods anymore because cell phones are just whatever. Um, it's like that is what's attached to this. Also, like for certain like museums and stuff, you can do a self-guided tour where like you put on the headphones and they like tell you which way to go and they talk to you in each room. It's like that. So this person, that's their like intuition discernment telling them to like go down the scary path. And this person is like, I'm gonna close my eyes and just like run. It's like that kind of energy. Maybe it's also important to not look. This is how you know that this because Patrick would be like, never close your eyes. Look at everything. Depending. Um, I don't know if there's it's also something that like you don't want to look at. Like your intuition discernment is telling you like close your eyes and just move forward because there's something for some reason like there's something that you're not meant to see. It's almost like there's someone who knows like what your weaknesses are. And so like if you have arachnophobia, then they'll put spiders in there to try to like stop you. But it feels more like someone who wears a face that you would be sympathetic to. Or it's like an injured kitten and it plays on your like whatever, but that injured kitten is like not a really injured kitten. It's like something that's taken the form of an injured kitten, like anglerfish energy. It's like an anglerfish. It's dangling this little light so that you'll like endear yourself to it, but the closer you get, it's like the teeth, and then it tries to get you. Like it could also be that. But I think too, if this is your intuition discernment, um, like with that nowhere to run, it's almost like there is no other way, there is no other path, there is no other door. Or like this is the best course. If you want another way, you're gonna have to go through something that's even worse than this. And you can, because you can make the choices or just like close your eyes and get through it. And when you open them again, it'll all be over. So, so anyway. That's what I got. I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this online. Expect all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, anyway you find. And maybe that's interesting too, because I again, like I had that dream last night where I was on the other side of me deciding what I want to do next with my life. And I was just like, oh, remember when I was so like worried about what I was gonna do next and like whether or not I'd get into grad school and what I'd study, and like here I am, like it all worked out. In the dream, I wake up and I'm like, still currently here. So maybe that's sort of how it plays out. It's just like a knowing of like this transitionary period, as dark or scary as much as it may require, will be over. And once it's over, it's like there's no going back. And I think that too, sometimes being human is weird, where even if we reach a point where we know that something isn't good for us, or we know that our time with something is coming to an end, sometimes we still need to grieve it, you know? So I don't know. I gotta go to the restroom. I'll catch y'all later. I only bought one of these, so we won't be doing this again unless I buy another one. Thanks, Em and Jennifer, for stopping by. See you later.